If you're thinking of studying architecture in Namibia, here are 5 things that you might need to know before applying. This video will only be focusing on the university or the Namibia University of Science and Technology and their Department of Architecture. Not only because it's where I did my architecture, but because it's also one of the only programs in Namibia that are accredited, which is very important and beneficial, and I'll get into detail with that later on. So let's get to it. Okay, so firstly, if you do qualify, you get to do a threefold interview process. This is kind of a filtration to minimize the amount of students that get in, but also just to pick out the students who are serious about this course. First part is a test that you get to do to sort of test your general knowledge in architecture. And then secondly, it's a drawing test that you get to do. This is not necessarily to test your ability to draw in the general sense, but more of your ability to understand, when you're drawing a building, what are you drawing and what are you grasping and the technicalities of that. And, it's a bit more nuanced, I think. And then the third part of it is a in-person interview that you get to do, where you get interviewed and asked questions by people from the department, and these may vary from questions trying to figure out why you want to do this course and whether you're serious about taking this course and whether you understand what the course pertains to or what you'll be dealing with, basically. All right, so that's basically it. All right, so if you're wondering what courses this program offers or these programs offer, the department does have a website where they are available for you to view. But I can give a brief overview. The main one that tends to be sort of like a make or break is the architectural design course. And that course is basically, teaches you how to design, teaches you how, the process of designing from conception all the way down to, presentation. And then that's followed up by, building structures courses, pertaining to understanding the science of buildings, and this kind of help you have an understanding of beams and columns and all the structural stuff. And followed up by that is also courses that help you on drawing technically, which is really important when you get to work in an architectural firm. All right, so how many programs are there? There are 3 programs. The first one is a Bachelor of Architecture, which consists of 3 years. Then you graduate. Then you have the Bachelor's of Honors, which is 1 year. And then you graduate, and then you get into the Masters of Architecture. Obviously, when you finish and graduate, you're not necessarily guaranteed to go into the 4th year because there's an interview process that happens to get you there. And at this sort of interview process to get into the next year also allows people from the industry to be able to participate and also be able to continue into their next year if they only have a bachelor's degree. This is also a way of, if you don't want to continue, you can sort of take a break and work in the industry, get a feeling of it, and then come back and continue again. All right, so hand drawings and drawing programs. So there's this misconception that you have to know how to draw to do architecture, and that's not a necessity. That's not necessarily true, because like many things, you can learn how to draw. And the type of drawing that usually occurs is very much, with the understanding of structures and being able to translate that and illustrate that in a way that conveys whatever ideas that you're trying to show, the lecturers and other students. So this can be taught, and generally it's taught throughout the first year, where you're encouraged to draw and not use programs. So this includes drawing in perspective, line work, and all sorts of things. And then, of course, the drawing programs. The number one popular one in Namibia is ArchiCAD, which is followed by, I believe, Rivet. I'd like to say, and then AutoCAD. These are sort of the programs that help you translate your drawings into, technical documentation, which is what you need in the industry if you have a firm, if you do end up having a firm or working for someone. ArchiCAD tends to be sort of easy, because the objects are available, windows are there, doors, walls. You don't necessarily have to do it from scratch like other programs. It does get rigid to a certain extent if you want to do something that's a bit more complex, let's say like Zaha did. And in that sense, you use programs like Rhino and Grasshopper, but that isn't very popularly used in Namibia because we don't have, I'm sure you've noticed, we don't have that much complex buildings that necessarily require those types of programs. So in the years of your studies, you do get a foundation of some of these programs, but most of the knowledge comes from you learning by yourselves and learning from your peers and watching YouTube videos and other learning sites. This is now followed up by Adobe. So Adobe, really great if you want to do something more artistic or you want to illustrate your designs artistically. So the one or the programs that tend to help out with that are Photoshop and Illustrator. I personally used Photoshop quite a lot. Also something that you would most likely end up really learning in detail by yourselves or learning from your peers. I do believe there are introductory courses. I'd like to think there are introductory courses there at the department as well. So the Adobe suite is quite helpful, and then you have the InDesign as well that helps you sort of compile everything together. So all these programs you can use to portray your design or execute your design on paper. Okay, so is this program accredited? The bachelor's degree and the honors degree, those are accredited, and this is a benefit to you if you study at a university or you study through a program that is accredited, because if you want to continue elsewhere, this type of recognition, international recognition, is really important for you to not make your life difficult. It also shows that the standards of teaching at the universities are of quality, and I think with the students that have been or have studied at the department and have decided to continue their studies in, let's say, South Africa and overseas, they've gone on to win competitions, and they've done very, very well outside of Namibia, including myself, having gone to KU Leuven and graduated my master's degree with a cum laude. I think that's a testament to the quality that the department offers. So what this tends to mean when you're doing a course that is not accredited is that when you do your in-training to get your registration as an architect, your years are more. So mine, since I did my master's at an accredited university, I only got to do 2 years of training, while for those that did theirs at universities that are not accredited or programs that are not accredited, they get to do theirs for 4 years. So it just helps sort of shorten those types of processes when you come out of a program that is accredited. All right, so those were all the 5 points. If you have more questions, please feel free to send them through. The next video that I would be doing is on what to expect as an architectural technologist and architect in training in the Namibian industry.